set of bar chords we're looking at is based on the A shape that we know so well. And the A has its root on the 5th string. So the A, the low A is right there, and the rest of the chord is built right there. So this one's a little trickier. What we do is we bar strings 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then somehow we have to make this shape, and it just depends on how people play it. I've got kind of chubby fingers, so I try to put mine in there like that to cram them in. Some people play it like this. Some people play it with a bar. And the tricky part then is over here, since you're playing with the first finger, you either have to play this bar chord like this where you cram your fingers up there, or use a second bar. So you bar with the first finger, bar with the second finger. And there's some things I talk about in the article where trying to get that note to ring out is rather difficult for people like me, that this joint doesn't bend. Some people's this joint bends a lot, and so they're able to play it and get that note to ring out to sound like that, to get that note. I can't do that. So when I play this chord, a lot of times what I'll do, I'll just play it so that first string is muted. And so what we have here is we have the A shape played up here, and that's actually a D now. So it's a D. A couple things about playing these 5th string root bar chords. Sometimes it's easier to actually bar all 6 strings versus 5 strings. We talked a little bit about that. You're pinching more with the top of your fingers versus the meaty part of your finger. So sometimes it's easier, especially if you're using these 3 fingers, to bar with the whole thing. If you're playing this kind of shape, you may have to do some adjusting to this bar, just depending on how your fingers work. Let's look at the different variations of the A shape bar chord, which is the 5th string root bar chord. Here we have the major shape. And remember, to get the minor sound, to get the minor chord, we have to lower the 3rd. The 3rd in this chord is right there. This is an F sharp, and we need to lower it to an F, 1 fret down. And that creates a D minor. And if you notice, this shape is a lot like our A minor shape. Looks just like it, except we're providing the open strings with our bar here. So that's a pretty dark minor sound, and you remember we soften those minor sounds up by moving the root down to the 7th, and it creates a minor 7. Alright, now let's go back to the major shape. If we want to get a 7 with the major to create a dominant 7 chord, we simply lower our root down, and so we go away from that bar, and this is actually an easier note to play. We play it just like an A, 7 here, we play it here. Another variation you can do is actually playing this full A triad right here, or D triad, and then hitting your 7th up at the top. That's a pretty harsh sounding. You want the right kind of music to play that sort of voicing. And then we also have our susses. So our susses here, since this is the 3rd, we go up. And that's okay. Actually, on electric guitar, this works really nice. It's not as great on acoustic. But this sus shape can be a real cool sound with electric. Our 7 sus shapes, or D7 sus, is right here. That's a pretty easy shape to play. And then our 2 chord is actually really nice in this 5th string root position. The A2 shape, or the A sus 2, is just like this. It's you lower the 3rd down here. So with the D bar chord, you would simply bar, and again you'll notice I'm barring across all 6 strings. It's just a little easier to do that. And then you have this A2, A add 2, A sus 2, whatever you want to call it shape. And that can be shape to move around, to break up, put a little distortion on it, let it ring out, but that's a great shape. One other shape that we can, one other type of chord that we can get that we couldn't get as easily up here with the 6th string root, on the 5th string root we can get the major 7. And instead of going down from the root to the flat 7, we actually go to just to the 7th. It's a half step below. So this is called a D major 7. It's real jazzy, kind of soft, loungy feeling. And so you can hear the progression of a regular major chord, major 7, dominant 7. So you can hear how that changes, and you've heard that in countless songs. And so that's most of the chords that you can do with the 5th string root.